What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Operation 2022. This is going to be kind of a sit down and chat episode, but I'm going to overlay some footage from yesterday's back workout so you guys can get a better idea of, what I'm talking about in this video. This video is going to be all about how I've improved my back. Now, my back is definitely the biggest area that needed improvement for me to go from being the amateur natural bodybuilder that I am to the ultimate goal of becoming a professional natural bodybuilder, which is the goal when we return to the stage in 2022. So in speaking with my coach, for those that don't know, I am working with Cliff Wilson. He's one of the most renowned coaches in natural bodybuilding for sure, but he does coach enhanced athletes as well. But I think the most recognition he gets is within the natural bodybuilding community. He's coached plenty of pros, world champions, and all kinds of stuff. He's got a very impressive resume. So that's who I'm working with. And when I started working with him, getting ready for the stage this year, but it didn't pan out. When we entered the off season, we of course had a conversation of what needs to improve. And he mentioned basically top to bottom my entire posterior chain. So the muscle groups that you can see from the back. So if we're starting from the top, your traps, rear delts, going into your lats, your mid back, then your erectors, your lower back, your glutes, hamstrings. So all those areas, calves, we'll mention calves as well, but that might be a lost cause. So those muscle groups, top to bottom, all needed to come up in order for me to be competitive, definitely at a higher level. So for me, my front shots, my front double bicep, my front lat spread, decent shots, ab and thigh, most muscular. I have a good shape, good structure for those poses. Turning to the side, my side chest, side tricep, I'm pretty happy with those shots as a whole. But then when I turn to the back, there's just not a whole lot of, substance back there. We use the term density, basically meaning there's just not as much muscle that is back there that needs to be back there. So for me, that's been a very much main focus, since I've entered the off season back in August. And here we are in December. So we're August, September, October, November, December. So we're only 4 months in, but I have made some pretty good changes, which you guys can see if you follow me, or even in the thumbnail of this video, you can see that, one side of the video or the photo for the thumbnail is my back before, and then the other side's my back now. And it's made some very substantial changes in just a short period of time. So I want to talk about how I've made that happen, because a lot of people have been asking me, what have you done to bring your back up? So I figured we would address that in this video. The first thing I want to talk about is programming, because I think that's obviously the biggest change that I've made when it comes to working on my back. My back is a muscle group that I feel on certain exercises, but definitely not all of them. Hi. So for me, you take like a lat pull down, I could connect pretty well with lat pull downs, but a lot of other exercises, I would just, looking back, I was going through the motions. I was doing, various types of rows and different pulls and that kind of stuff, but I wasn't really feeling them as good as I should, because, at the end of the day, if I'm not connecting with the muscle groups I'm trying to develop, odds are they're not doing as much work as other muscle groups. So when you think about pulling, which is really your back, right? So any pulling movements horizontally, any pulling movements vertically, that is gonna take forearm work, bicep work, and then of course your back. But if you're doing, so much pulling with this stuff, then your back's not getting hit, and it's not being overly responsible for the pull, which is what I was doing. I was doing a lot of rows and pull downs, but using more of this stuff than this stuff. So for me, it's taking a step back, and I've found exercises that I really connect with. I've slowed down, I've dialed back the weight. I took time to, really make that connection of, okay, when I'm doing a pull, am I really feeling, my lat, or is it most of my bicep? So taking a step back and finding exercises that I feel really good. So for me, pull downs obviously are good. I've been doing chest supported T-bar rows. In this video, doing the single arm row, doing an upper back cable row. A lot of cables I feel really well with, not as much with free weights. I find I try to muscle them versus actually connect with them. So for me, a lot of cables. At the beginning of the workout, you saw me do deadlifts. I think deadlifts have been a staple in my training career, for a very long time. I've always been a big fan of the big compounds like deadlifts, and I think there will always be some form of deadlift in my programming for as long as I can, as long as it's injury and pain free. So right now I'm doing conventional deadlifts. I was doing stiff leg deadlifts for quite some time, but now I've switched to a conventional deadlift. And I think just, of course your back, but also like glutes, hamstrings, your lower back, like just everything top to bottom from the back, which like I mentioned is where I need the most work, is getting hit with a deadlift, whether it's actively engaging, or if it's just like isometrically locking in, like with your lats when you're holding the bar and not letting yourself lose that position. Like that stuff all adds up. So I think for me, deadlifts are something that I will keep in, and then those cable exercises and stuff. So another thing with programming is I have 2 back sessions per week. And again, those 2 sessions are specific with exercises and sets and reps to what needs to be done for me and what I feel the most. Again, going back to what I feel. I was always doing 2 pull sessions before, but I wasn't necessarily feeling things as much as I needed to. So now I've gone back, reassessed things, and found exercises that I feel and perform them in a manner that I feel. Some movements I need to go a little bit higher reps before I can really feel like I connect with it. Like for that upper back cable row, I find a higher like 15 to 20 rep range does me a lot more than if I was to really go like a hard 8. I find with the lower reps I get back into that, just muscling it back just for the sake of it, versus the higher rep range I can really lock in and just engage those muscle groups. Because it is a little bit lighter, I can really focus on, okay, pull my shoulder blades back, or for my lats with doing the 1-arm cable row, like swooping that elbow down and squeezing my lower lats. So programming wise, guys, I think that sums it up pretty well about what I've been doing to make it all come together and progress. Another thing is with diet, staying in a consistent calorie surplus. This is going to be the longest time I've had in between shows, and I know things are only going to continue to get better, but even since my off season started in August to now, I've been consistently, progressively eating more food. Right now I'm around 3,600 calories per week, and I've seen my weight come up. Since my off season started, I'm up about 20 pounds, and I feel good, I feel strong, everything's progressing in the gym, and visually things are changing in a positive manner. So, making sure you're fueling your body to grow is a huge thing. If you're not eating enough, no matter how good your training is, you're not going to get the most bang for your buck if you're not eating enough, right? So that's something I preach to people that want to build and grow and develop their bodies. Like, you need to fuel it. So, if you want to drive somewhere and you don't give your car gas, how far can you expect it to go? And that's the same with your physique. If you're wanting to grow, and for me, wanting to develop this pro level physique, but if I'm not giving my body the tools in the form of training and food to build that physique, how can I expect that to happen? So consistently eating a good amount of food. I'm in a good sweet spot right now, and you don't need to constantly throw food at your body. Like, I don't expect to be at 6,000 and 7,000 calories by this time next year in my off season. That's not necessarily what you need to do, but you need to get in a certain point above your maintenance calories to where your body has adequate tools and fuel to build and grow and develop. So that's where I'm at right now, and it's clearly paying off. And knowing that I still have total like a year and a half before I will have to begin dieting down for my next show, it's only going to get better. And having adequate amount of time, again, that's something I not necessarily had beforehand. I was always short period of time and we compete again, short period of time, compete again. And those short periods of time, just not a lot of change is going to happen, if at all. So now that I have a very good amount of time, I'm excited to see what happens. And the last point I want to talk about is rest and recovery. This is another one that I've paid a lot of attention to, these last few months, and will continue to pay attention to, not for the rest of this off season, but for the rest of my career. I definitely wasn't unaware of the importance of rest beforehand, but when you really pay attention to it and can see the benefits of giving your body the rest it needs, it only makes things better. So for me, taking 2 rest days a week, I was for a little while doing like an optional arm day on those rest days, which really isn't that taxing, but even just the act of like getting up and getting, mentally energized for the gym and then training and all that kind of stuff, it does take away from the rest and recovery side of things. So for me now, only doing 2 complete rest days a week, so I have arms on different sessions, and that 2 rest days a week is for sure something that I know I need with the way I'm training right now. So those 2 rest days fall after leg days, because leg days are obviously probably the most taxing sessions of the week. So having those 2 days where I can just rest, recover, I'm now getting in the habit of doing yoga and stretching on those days. I have massage guns and foam rollers. I actually just bought an inversion table, which is the table you like strap your ankles in and then you flip upside down and it kind of stretches out your spine and stuff. So all these little things I know may seem like a lot, but they add up. And if it's important to you, which for me, my goals are very important to me, then I'm gonna do the things that I need to do to make that happen. And clearly, with the response that my physique is having and the growth that I'm seeing, the development I'm seeing, it is paying off, and it's only gonna continue to pay off. So the rest and recovery side of things, in conjunction with eating plenty of food, smart programming, all that stuff, it is a recipe for success. It just takes time. So I'm looking at the whole spectrum of what I'm doing, and I'm confident I'm going to get results because I'm doing the things needed to get there. The only other variable is time, and that's no issue because we all have plenty of time, and I'm in no rush to see the stage. Although I might have been when I was younger, I am now in a position where my goals are big enough that I know they warrant more time, and if I was to rush them, they're probably not going to happen. So I understand that this Operation 2022, not seeing the stage until 2022, is probably the smartest decision I could make in order to make those goals in 2022 happen. So yeah, so that I guess sums it up, guys. I know this is a little bit of a different style video, just sitting down and talking to you guys, versus having like a more active vlog or like a gym workout thing. But I think this is an easy way to convey the message without having too much distractions and too much stuff going on. So if you did like this kind of video, let me know, and I'll make a list of subjects I can talk about in future videos. And if you guys have suggestions, let me know in the comments below. Of course, message me on Instagram at Leroy_Rollins_fitness. If you guys like this kind of stuff, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.